Space was silent. Stars shone in the endless black, and far away a blue planet turned slowly under its own light. Nothing moved except one human warship. It was alone, drifting into a sector where humans never dared to go. The ship was large, dark, and quiet. Its engines hummed low, and from a distance it looked like a tired traveler in the void. But to others it looked like prey. The alien fleet had been waiting. Their long-range scanners had caught the human ship hours ago. They had counted every detail. Only one vessel, no escorts, no reinforcements, far away from any human colony. To them, this was the perfect chance. The aliens had been at war with humans for years, and they wanted proof of their power. What better proof than destroying a lonely warship? Their commanders spoke with cold voices. They called the humans reckless, weak, and arrogant for sending one ship into enemy space. The alien ships began to gather. One by one, they came out of warp, surrounding the lone vessel like wolves circling a wounded animal. Red lights burned on their hulls. Engines glowed hot, and weapons were armed. The space around the human ship grew darker as their shadows closed in. From their bridges, alien officers smiled. They thought this would be fast. Inside the human warship, the atmosphere was different. The crew sat silent at their stations. No one shouted. No one panicked. Their eyes were fixed on their screens, watching as red markers filled the radar. The captain stood at the center, calm, hands folded behind his back. He did not give long speeches. He did not warn his crew about fear or death. He only watched. His ship was surrounded, but he did not look afraid. The first alien broadcast came. A voice crackled through the speakers, mocking, almost laughing. It told the humans to surrender, to power down their engines, to prepare for destruction. It promised that mercy would not come, that no human ship would leave this place alive. The voice ended with a sharp burst of static. The crew of the human ship listened in silence. Their captain gave no answer. Outside, the alien fleet grew closer. 50 ships, then 60, then more. Cruisers, frigates, and heavy destroyers all turned their guns toward the human warship. They wanted to crush it completely. They wanted every other race in the galaxy to know what happens when humans trespass. The countdown to attack began, quiet and mechanical. 5 seconds, 4, 3. The first shot came like thunder. A beam of white light cut across the void, hitting the human ship broadside. The ship shook, sparks jumped from the panels inside. The aliens cheered as more weapons followed. Missiles streaking like fire across the dark sky. Explosions blossomed against the human hull, and the void lit up with fury. From the alien command ships, the fight already looked over. They saw fire spreading across the surface of the human warship. They saw its shields strain and break. They told themselves victory was theirs. They had already written the story in their minds. One human ship destroyed, one more proof of alien strength. But inside the human ship, something else was happening. The crew still sat in silence. Sparks fell from broken panels, smoke curled in the air, but no one moved in fear. Their captain leaned forward slightly. His eyes scanned the enemy positions, and his lips moved with only one quiet order. The ship responded. Hidden ports opened along its sides, weapons sliding into place like teeth bared in the dark. The hum of the engines grew louder, deeper, as if something had been sleeping inside the ship and was now waking up. The radar lit with alien signatures, but one by one, targeting locks appeared over them. The captain spoke again, calm and sharp. His voice carried through every deck, steady as iron. He did not say fight with honor. He did not say this is our last stand. He only said, fire. The first human strike was fast, too fast. A beam of energy tore through an alien cruiser before it could even react. The ship split in half, fire spilling into the void. The alien fleet froze in disbelief. Then a second shot and another cruiser burned. A swarm of missiles streaked out, weaving through space like hunters chasing prey. Alien frigates tried to dodge, but explosions tore them apart one after another. Confusion spread through the alien fleet. Their commanders shouted orders, but their voices cracked. Their formations broke. They had thought the human ship was weak, but it was fighting like a beast. Every weapon it fired struck with precision. Every move cut deeper into their numbers. From a distance, the galaxy watched. Other races, hidden in their stations, saw the battle through long-range sensors. They saw the lone human ship bleeding smoke but still fighting. They saw alien ships burning one by one. They did not understand. How could one ship stand against so many? Inside the alien flagships, fear began to grow. They realized too late that this was not prey. This was not weakness. This was a trap, but not the one they had set. The silence inside the human warship was not fear. It was focus. It was something the aliens had never understood. The hook had been set. The story of this battle was only beginning. The void of space, once quiet, was now alive with fire and destruction. The lone human warship surrounded by enemies was no victim. It was the storm, and the aliens who had thought they were the hunters were about to learn what it meant to become prey. The alien fleet had not expected resistance. Their first volley should have destroyed the lone human warship, but instead it had awakened something hidden. The void was now alive with burning wreckage, 2 cruisers gone, 5 frigates in flames, and yet the human ship moved forward slow and steady, like a predator that had waited too long for its prey. Alien commanders barked orders, their voices sharp, their screens filled with red warnings. Their fleet outnumbered the human vessel more than 20 to 1. Logic said they should win. Numbers said they should crush it. Yet logic did not matter anymore. Every time the human ship fired, another alien vessel vanished into smoke and fire. From inside the human warship, the crew stayed calm. Their hands moved over controls with machine-like precision. Shields glowed faint blue, catching enemy fire. Engines roared, pushing the ship into new angles, weaving through explosions. Not a single order was wasted. Not a single shot missed. The captain stood still, his voice steady, giving commands like notes in a dark song. Aliens tried to close in, thinking numbers could overwhelm. Their ships spread out, moving in packs. Dozens of weapons lit the darkness, beams and torpedoes streaking toward the human hull. Explosions burst across the armored surface, shaking the decks. For a moment, it looked as if the alien plan was working. Sparks rained down, alarms screamed inside the human ship, but no one panicked. The crew trusted the steel around them, and more than that, they trusted the man giving orders. Then the human ship answered. Its weapons spun, launching a barrage that cut through the alien pack like knives through paper. 5 ships gone in seconds, their flames lighting the void. The alien formation shattered. Some tried to break away, but the human vessel pursued like a shadow that never let go. Every move the aliens made was countered. Every plan they built fell apart. Fear grew. The alien commanders who had mocked the humans moments ago now shouted with panic in their voices. They demanded explanations, demanded new strategies. But there was none. Their weapons hit, but they did not kill. Their numbers meant nothing. Their pride turned to doubt. From a distant observation station, other alien races watched. Silent transmissions carried the battle across the galaxy. Screens lit up with the image of one human warship standing against a swarm. Generals, leaders, and spies stared in disbelief. Some whispered that it was impossible. Others whispered that they had always feared this day would come. Back in the battle, the human ship pushed deeper into the fleet. Its hull was scarred, glowing with burns, but it kept moving, unstoppable. Hidden panels opened along its sides, releasing drone fighters that darted like shadows, striking at weak points. Alien shields collapsed. Engines exploded. Ships spun out of control, their crews screaming into silence. One alien captain tried to rally his forces. He shouted that the human ship was bleeding, that it could not last forever, that victory was still possible. He ordered all ships to focus fire, to end it with one final strike. And so they did. Dozens of beams and missiles launched together, crossing the void in a storm of fire. The human vessel vanished behind the explosions. Silence followed. Smoke covered the screens. Alien officers leaned forward, eager to see the wreck of their enemy. Their hearts beat with hope that maybe at last it was over. But when the smoke cleared, the truth struck them harder than any weapon. The human warship was still there. Shields burned, hull broken in places, but engines glowed brighter than before, its guns charged with lethal light. Slowly, it turned, its weapons locking on target after target. The alien captain who had rallied his men felt his chest grow cold. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. The human ship was not finished. It was only beginning. Inside the warship, the human captain finally spoke again. His words were not angry, not loud, but they carried through the ship like steel through the dark. His crew answered in silence, their hands ready, their eyes unshaken. And then once again he gave the order. The void lit up with destruction. Alien ships exploded one after another, their screams lost in the silence of space. Panic turned to chaos. Formations broke completely. Some fled, some fought, some froze. None of it mattered. The lone human warship cut through them all, every shot carving another grave in the void. What had begun as an ambush was no longer a battle. It was a massacre, and the galaxy was watching. The battlefield was chaos. Alien ships scattered in every direction. Their once perfect formation broken into fragments. Smoke and fire floated across the void like torn banners. The human warship moved slowly through the wreckage, its hull scarred but still alive, glowing faintly with hidden power. Every eye in the galaxy that watched the battle knew this was no accident. This was something else. The alien commanders had planned the ambush carefully. They had calculated every angle, every advantage. Numbers, weapons, speed, and position. All had been on their side. Yet the trap had failed, and worse, it was turning against them. The very net they had thrown to catch the human ship was now closing around their own throats. On the alien flagship, panic filled the bridge. Officers shouted over each other, their screens flashing with warnings of lost ships. Their admiral stood rigid, his face pale beneath the dim lights. He had never believed humans were dangerous in small numbers. He had thought their strength lay only in large fleets, in colonies, in armies. But this one ship, this single dark figure in the void, was destroying everything he believed. The admiral gave the order to retreat. At once, smaller alien ships broke away, engines burning as they tried to escape the slaughter. But the human warship was faster than it looked. Its engines flared and it shifted course, blocking the path like a predator cutting off its prey. Missiles streaked outward, weaving around fleeing vessels before slamming into their hulls. Explosions tore through the void, leaving nothing but drifting ruins. Inside the human ship, the crew moved without fear. They did not celebrate each kill. They did not cheer when enemy ships burned. They worked like shadows, quiet and efficient. The captain spoke rarely, his voice steady, his words short. Every command carried weight. Every order was followed instantly. It was not anger that drove them, nor pride. It was something colder. The ship's true nature began to show. Panels opened along its spine, revealing hidden batteries of weapons. Turrets rose from the hull, glowing with strange energy. Systems the aliens had never seen before came alive. The warship had been playing dead, holding its true strength in silence until the right moment. Now that moment had come. Alien fleets tried to regroup. They launched swarms of fighters, filling the darkness with buzzing trails of light. Hundreds of small ships darted toward the human vessel, their weapons firing in endless streams. For a heartbeat, it seemed the sheer number might overwhelm. But the human ship was ready. Its hidden drone bays opened, releasing a storm of black machines. The drones moved like shadows, faster than fighters, sharper than knives. They cut through the alien swarm with precision, tearing wings and engines apart in silent bursts of flame. Alien pilots screamed, their voices lost to the vacuum as their ships broke apart one by one. The alien admiral's face twisted in horror. His trap was now a prison. Every move his fleet made, the human ship anticipated. Every retreat became an ambush. Every attack turned into suicide. It was as if the human captain was reading their thoughts before they even acted. Across the galaxy, silent watchers whispered in fear. Other alien races studied the battle with wide eyes. They had thought humans were reckless, fragile, too young to stand against the older powers of the stars. Now they saw something different. They saw a people who did not need numbers to win. They saw a people who could turn weakness into strength and fear into silence. The human ship pressed forward, carving through the fleet. Its hull was blackened, cracked in places, but its weapons glowed brighter with every strike. It did not slow. It did not hesitate. It was like a storm sweeping across the void, unstoppable, merciless. The admiral realized too late that he had never been the hunter. He had been the prey from the beginning. The human ship had lured him, let him believe victory was certain, let him waste his numbers in arrogance. The ambush had not trapped the human ship. The ambush had trapped the aliens themselves. One final order came from the human captain. His voice was calm, cold, and sharp. The crew answered with silent hands, their faces lit by the glow of their screens. The warship unleashed its full power. Beams of energy cut through space like swords. Missiles filled the void with trails of fire. Drones swarmed like vultures in the dark. Alien ships vanished in a storm of destruction. Cruisers cracked apart, destroyers spun into debris, frigates burned in silence. The flagship itself shook under the assault, alarms wailing, lights dying. The admiral stood frozen, staring at the human ship that filled his screens. In his heart, he knew it was already over. The trap had turned. What had begun as the galaxy's proof of alien strength was now becoming a legend of human fury. And everyone watching knew this was only the beginning. The void of space was no longer silent. It burned with wreckage and fire. What had begun as a proud alien fleet was now only scattered fragments, their ships drifting without purpose. Yet the battle was not finished. The human warship pressed forward through the storm, its hull glowing faintly in the firelight, its engines burning with relentless strength. On the alien flagship, fear had grown into desperation. Officers shouted until their voices broke. Reports came faster than they could be read. Ships destroyed, crews lost, weapons gone. Their admiral stood frozen, his hands gripping the railing as if the metal itself could anchor him to reality. This was not the battle he had planned. This was not the victory he had promised his people. Focus everything on the human ship, he commanded at last, his voice sharp but unsteady. All weapons, all ships. End it now. His order spread across the surviving vessels. The fleet shifted, what remained of it gathering together for one last strike. Dozens of beams powered up, torpedoes locked on target. The stars themselves seemed to tremble as the alien fleet prepared to unleash all its fury. Inside the human warship, the crew felt the weight of what was coming. Warning screens flashed, alarms buzzed, but still they remained calm. They had seen storms before. They had been trained for moments like this. At the center of it all, the captain stood still, his eyes locked on the enemy fleet. He did not flinch. He did not show fear. His voice, when it came, was quiet but steady. Brace. The alien fleet fired as one. The void filled with light. Beams of raw energy cut across the dark, striking the human ship again and again. Missiles streaked like burning comets, exploding against its shields. The impact was terrible. The ship shook under the assault, metal groaning, lights flickering. Panels sparked, corridors trembled, and the crew held tight to their stations. It was as if the universe itself was trying to crush them. For a moment, the alien admiral believed victory was close. His officers cheered, their voices rising in hope. They saw the human ship vanish behind the storm of fire, swallowed by smoke and explosions. They told themselves this was the end, that the nightmare was over. But then the smoke cleared. The human warship was still there. Its hull was battered, its shields weakened, but its engines roared with even greater power. And in that moment, the galaxy watching understood something terrible. The ship was not dying. It was enduring. It was preparing. The captain gave a new order. His words were calm, almost cold. The ship responded. Hidden weapons powered up along the hull, their light brighter than before. The drones returned, swarming out like a black storm. And then the human vessel struck back. Its first volley cut the alien line in half. Cruisers burned, their decks split open. A destroyer vanished in a flash, reduced to fragments before it could even fire. Drones darted between larger vessels, targeting weak points with merciless precision. Missiles swirled like hunters in the dark, chasing down every ship that tried to escape. The alien admiral's voice broke as he screamed for his men to fight on, but the fear was too deep. Some ships ignored his command and fled into the void, their engines burning hot with desperation. Others hesitated, caught between orders and survival. The formation shattered. The fleet was no longer a weapon. It was prey scattering before the storm. And still the human ship came forward. On the outer edges of the galaxy, where distant stations watched through silent screens, leaders and generals spoke in whispers. They saw what no one had believed possible. One human ship breaking an entire alien armada. Some watched with awe, others with fear. For if this was the strength of a single vessel, what would happen when more came? What would happen if humanity decided to unleash its full power? Back on the alien flagship, the admiral finally understood. His trap had failed not because of bad luck, not because of poor planning, but because he had misunderstood humanity. He had thought of them as reckless, fragile, untested, but what stood before him now was none of those things. It was something far worse. It was resilience. It was fury held in silence. It was the will to fight when every other race would have surrendered. The admiral's voice fell to a whisper. "This is not a warship," he said, staring at the human vessel that tore his fleet apart. "This is a warning." And as the human ship unleashed another volley, as more alien vessels broke into flames, the galaxy felt the same truth settle like ice across their hearts. The turning point had come. The hunters were no longer in control. The prey had become the predator, and the legend of humanity's wrath was only beginning to spread. The battle was over, but the silence that followed was heavier than the noise of war. The alien fleet was gone, scattered into fragments drifting without life. Engines burned out, hulls split open, weapons silent. The stars that had watched the ambush now glowed over a graveyard of ships. And in the center of it all, the lone human warship moved slowly forward, its engines steady, its hull scarred but unbroken. Inside the alien flagship, alarms still cried, though no one remained to hear them. The admiral who had sworn victory stood alone at his station, his bridge in ruins. Smoke filled the air, and the voices of his crew were gone. He looked at the human ship one last time before flames swallowed the deck. His final thought was not anger, but disbelief. Disbelief that one ship, one vessel could erase everything he had commanded. Then silence claimed him too. The human crew sat quietly at their stations. Their ship bore the wounds of battle, yet their faces showed no celebration. No cheers rose from the decks. No voices praised their survival. They worked in silence, repairing systems, restoring order, carrying out their duties. Victory was not joy. Victory was only survival, and survival was expected. The captain stood at the center, his posture calm, his eyes fixed on the wreckage around them. For a long moment he said nothing. He watched the remains of the enemy drift like ash across the stars. Then, with a voice low and steady, he gave a single order: proceed. The engines roared, and the warship turned away from the battlefield. It did not stay to count the dead. It did not remain to claim trophies. It moved on, silent and relentless, vanishing into the black horizon of space. But the galaxy had not forgotten. On distant stations, on hidden satellites, on the bridges of ships far away, alien eyes had watched everything. They had seen the ambush. They had seen the storm. They had seen one human vessel face a fleet and walk away alive. Word spread quickly, carried across systems in whispers and broken voices. No one called it rumor. No one doubted what they had seen. It was truth, and with truth came fear. In council chambers across alien worlds, leaders argued in hushed tones. Some demanded war, believing humans must be crushed before they grew stronger. Others warned that war would mean extinction. A single ship had destroyed a fleet. What would happen if humanity sent 10, 100, 1,000? Merchants whispered of closing trade routes near human space. Soldiers sharpened their weapons but did not speak of marching. Spies sent reports, their words laced with unease. The galaxy did not know what humanity truly was, but they knew one thing: they could no longer be ignored. For the humans, the battle was only another line in their history. Reports would be written, medals given, strategies studied. But among the crew of the warship, nothing was said. They did not fight for fame. They did not fight for stories. They fought because they must, and they would again. The wreckage of the alien fleet drifted on, a silent warning carved into the stars. It told every race that watched the same truth. Ambushes could fail, numbers could fail, arrogance could fail. But humanity endured. Humanity adapted. Humanity struck back. And in the silence of space where no sound carried, the message was louder than any voice. The galaxy now understood. The prey they thought they had hunted was not prey at all. It was a predator, patient and cold, waiting in the dark. And when it was provoked, when it was cornered, it did not break. It did not bow, it fought. And it won. The lone human warship faded into the horizon, its scars glowing faintly under the stars. Behind it lay fire and wreckage, ahead of it lay endless night. No one knew where it was going. No one knew what battles waited in the shadows. But everyone who had seen the fight knew one thing: the legend had begun, and it would not end here.